Okay, Dr. Matthew J. Trong here again from Engineer Inc. I've showed you guys kind of the setup for the rotary viscometer. I've showed you how I got the volume here of corn syrup that I'm going to use to try to take the viscosity. And I am now going to show you the setup for the rotary viscometer. So I said before that I wanted to use this spindle, which was a number... There it is, number 3 spindle. And that just comes from experience, right? Just knowing how viscous this stuff is. But as I said in the first video, depending on the spindle you select, there's more surface area in contact with the fluid. And as you guys know from your study of viscosity in fluids, shear, which is related to viscosity, multiplied by an area gives you either a force or a torque, depending on whether it's linear or rotational. And so the larger the surface area of these spindles, the larger torque you get. And so I'm going to pick a relatively small spindle so that I can get a good measurement with a pretty viscous fluid. I might later on switch to something else, but for now, let's stick with this. Okay, so I've got my spindle here. I'm going to screw it on. Interestingly, it's actually a inverted left-handed screw instead of a right-handed screw, and that's so that it can spin in a clockwise direction. So I have to screw it on counterclockwise. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to get these guys out of the way. There we go. Okay, now I've got to bring my my corn syrup in. So here's my corn syrup, and I'm going to just slide my corn syrup right under. Now the viscometer is actually set up to kind of give you some guidance, right, on how deep you need to go. So I told you guys already that this notch right there, that notch tells you how deep you need to go. So the fluid has to be at least as deep as that notch in order to get good readings. And the kind of protection plate here around the outside tells you how deep to go, right? So I can actually raise and lower this with a little, you guys see it going up and down. I've got a little knob on the back that I can twist to raise and lower it. So I'm going to lower it all the way down so that this bottom surface here is in contact with the bottom surface of my beaker. And then, of course, this bar here gives you some guidance on how wide the beaker needs to be, right? I could get away with a beaker of smaller diameter maybe if I wanted to, but it has to be at least that wide. So I'm going to make sure that this is tightened in the back. Do a little bit better job of tightening it down. There we go. Okay, tighten down. All right, and I'm now going to plunge this guy down into my corn syrup. So there he goes, down into the corn syrup. And again, I want to make sure that when it bottoms out, which is right there, that the notch in the spindle is submerged in the corn syrup, which it is. So I'm in good shape there. And now I am going to turn this guy on and you'll see what happens. So remember, I had the number 3 rotor in there. So I'm going to adjust this from 4 to 3. There we go. And let's see, we'll just start out with, we'll start out with a low RPM and we'll see what happens. And I don't have to worry about those. So let's hit OK. And probably hard to see in the video, but the rotor here should be spinning in a moment. It's spinning very slowly. So maybe I'll need to speed it up a bit. But it will ultimately give us a value in micropascal seconds for the viscosity, and then it'll also give us a percentage value, which is a percentage of the full range of the viscometer for this particular spindle setting, right? So you know, as you're getting close to 100%, that you might need to trade to a spindle that has a lower total area in contact with the fluid. And you also know that if you're way down in, you know, like the 1 or 2% range, that you're probably below the resolution of the instrument. And so you need to pick a spindle that has a different surface area. So, so anyway, let me stop right there and pick up with another video once I get this kind of dialed in correctly. it's spinning so slowly that you can barely even see it spinning. And so it's not actually registering anything. So so let me get this dialed into a good value, and then we'll pick it up with the next video, and I'll show you guys how I'm taking that measurement. But this is basically the setup, and then of course I've got to do some dialing in to get to the right value. So we'll see you in the next video, where I will have this thing running for you so that you can see precisely how it takes the measurement. Thanks.